All right, peace, peace. All right, peace, peace. Happy Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to thank you for joining me to make sure I got everything right here working. Okay, here we go. Can you hear me? Peace, 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 peace. All right, everything seems to be working. So we thank the Creator for each one of you that will be joining me tonight. I went on the next hour early. Just want to go ahead on and get in and get on out. So we thank the Creator for each one of you joining me. Shabbat, happy Shabbat, shalom, shalom. We're coming in. This is the Shabbat coming as the sun decreases itself here. These are the days of the Creator. Now, if this is not your Shabbat, then that's fine. Thank you for joining me. Shalom, shalom, happy Shabbat. But if this is your Shabbat, shalom, shalom. So we thank you for joining our TFTR Network YouTube channel. Tonight we're going to get into some things. So buckle your seatbelts. I know last week I had technical difficulties that were dealing with the mechanics, the mic. I don't know what was taking place, but sometimes, when you're bringing out information, sometimes YouTube or StreamYard, go ahead on and begin to act up. So we asked the Creator to forbid that from happening tonight. But let me blow my shofar as we move forward. So I thank the Creator for everything that He has done: protection, guidance, mercy, love, forgiveness, repentance, acceptance, and etc. Because without the Creator, we will be in a world of hurt. We will be in a world of hurt. So I thank the Creator for just providing, protecting, guiding, loving, mercy showing, vision given. Because the Creator is everything to me. Regardless of how people are, this is what He is to me. So as we move forward, I thank the Creator for His love, is just being the Creator. So we want to get more into what I left off on last week, but I want to get into something right now, because I don't think a lot of people are getting it. Some of us are, many of us are not. Just to recap back on from last lesson, the female, is to bring forth a replica of the male she's with. But a lot of females begin to bring forth a child reflecting them. And we wonder why families is out of order and off whack. Because the child does never reflect the father. The child reflects the mother. That's out of order by itself. But when we understand the legalities of family, then we will begin to start to move in that direction of families. But I think a lot of us are already set in our ways. And when a lot of people is set in their ways, it begins to now become problematic to increase, and we wonder why there's a lacking within the community. So I'm gonna kind of get into a couple of scriptures, because I don't believe that some of us understand inheritance. Inheritance is very powerful. Inheritance is something we supposed to be passing down. Inheritance is something that we supposed to, as a child, we supposed to be looking forward to receive. The inheritance don't come from the mother. The inheritance comes from the father. But what happened is, we don't realize, number one, what is an inheritance. Number two, where the inheritance comes from. Number three, why is the inheritance is given. And number four, how to give an inheritance. So we go and have children, and most of our children become lost as they grow, not knowing inheritance and the duty of inheritance. So we just go along with the flow of the plan, thinking that if I just play life like a lottery ticket, then it'll pop off like it's supposed to. Shalom, shalom, Brother Joel. Good to see you. Happy Shabbat. It'll pop off like it's supposed to. And we began to move in an unexplicit way, not knowing the damage that we do to families. Shalom, shalom, Sister Sephora. Happy Shabbat. Shalom, shalom, Sister Latoya. Latoya, happy Shabbat. Good to see each one of you. Hey, shalom, shalom, Brother Isaiah. Happy Shabbat. Good to see each one of you. Inheritance is very important because this is what your oppressor took from you. Hey, shalom, shalom, Brother Trey. Brother Trey, happy Shabbat to you as well. He took your inheritance from you. Okay? And now they are feeding us back a bunch of BS. And that's what destroying our families. And a lot of us don't know how to get out of the trench. So I'm gonna go over a couple of scriptures. I'm coming from the Apocrypha, the 3rd chapter, Sirach, the 3rd chapter in the Apocrypha. I'm gonna start at verse 1. Because a lot of us, we have to realize where the inheritance lies, especially women. The inheritance does not lie within the woman. It lies within the man, the male. The woman supports that inheritance in order for the father to give the inheritance properly. I'm just kind of touching this real quick, and then we're going to get into what I told you the topics were about the Palestinians, the Israelis, and et cetera, et cetera. But we have to understand what is an inheritance. So Sirach, the 3rd chapter, verse 1, it says, "Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that you may be safe." So if I look at this verse very carefully, it says, "Hear me, your father." And then he says, "Oh, children, and do after that you may be safe." Who are you doing? What are you following? What kind of flow plan are you following? You're following the father, who's the head. That's who the children's supposed to be patterned after. This is the lesson from last week. I'm just kind of touching back into some things. I'm going a little further. They have to follow the flow plan of the father. Okay? I know a lot of people may not like it, but this is Bible. Because see, a lot of our children is confused. And they grow up confused. Thinking sometimes that the mother has just as much power as the male. No, that's out of order. And I'm gonna kind of show that a little bit in a minute. No. Especially if you're married. No. Let's go to verse 2. "For the Creator has given the father honor over his children." See? He has given, the father was given honor over the children. See, it wasn't no 50-50 thing. The male has the honor over the children. He has the power. But in society, they give the woman the power. And that's the reason why a lot of our households are inactive or destroyed. And that's the reason why a lot of times our females don't know how to pick a correct male. They don't know how to do it. Most of them don't know how to do it because they are not paying attention to the father. Okay? The father was given honor over the children and has confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Now, what it means that the mother has the authority over the sons, meaning, do she control that male? No, she don't control the male. She has the authority to impart the father into that male because she's the teacher. She's the teacher. So she has the authority to impart the vision of the father into the male, into the children. Now, what if she's single with the child? She's supposed to teach that child the laws. But the legacy still comes from the father. That's why women have to be very careful at the male they choose. Because you cannot teach that child a new legacy. It doesn't happen because the legacy is of the seed, and the male carries the seed. You don't have to like the male, but that is that male's legacy. You allowed him to bring forth his legacy from you. So you can't get mad with him. You can't get mad with him. That's his legacy. You has to be very cognizant of who you allow in the temple, sisters. Shalom, shalom, Brother Marcus. Happy Shabbat to you. Good to see you. You have to be very cognizant at who you allow in the temple, sisters. You have the doorway to this earth. It doesn't make a difference how good the man talk. It doesn't make a difference this and that. You're responsible at what comes through your door, sisters. Unless you've been raped, because like Deuteronomy say, then we'll deal on another end. But if you volunteer, allow that man to enter in the temple, and you brought forth his legacy through your doors, you're responsible. You're responsible to help that child bring forth that man's legacy. You're responsible. You can't teach that child away from that male. You have to teach that child that man. So if that man is a thug, then that child's legacy will likely gonna be a thug. That's why a lot of men don't supposed to produce. Y'all have to be very cognizant at who you allow to produce. But a lot of women just allowing men to produce. Just to produce. And they're bringing forth all these children. Let me go to verse 5. I'm going to jump down to verse 5. Whosoever honors his father shall have joy of his own children. Let me read that again. Whosoever honoreth his father shall have joy in his own children. How do you honor your father? You follow the flow plan of that male. That's the only way that's the only way a father can have joy in his children. Now, a father gonna have joy because you are his children. But a father don't get joy out of a child if a child goes the opposite way. That's not joy. That's pain. That's pain. Because that father is supposed to pass down the legacy to that child. But if the child doesn't follow the flow plan, then who does the father pass the legacy down to? And that's what happens within our communities and within our families today. There's no legacy going on, passed down. There's no honor going on. In the other half of that verse says, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard. So if a father who takes joy in his, who have joy in his children, when he prays, that's when his prayer is heard. But if he don't have joy in his children, his prayer is not heard. It's almost as if he's dead. Same thing with the child. The child is not, if the father doesn't take pleasure in the child, then when the child prays, that child prayers are not heard. Because of the father. The legacy comes from the male, not the female. The female is the one that helped the male establishes the legacy. But the male already have the legacy to give to the children. Let's jump down to verse 9. It says, for the blessing of the father establishes the house of children. The blessing of the father establishes the house of the children. See? The blessing of the house establishes the house of the children. See, everything runs through that man. It's what a lot of us don't like. I ain't gonna say I don't like it because I'm a man. But I know a lot of females, they don't like that because they're competing with the male. Everything comes through that man. It runs through that man. But the curse of the mother rooted out the foundation. What does that mean? That's very important. Then I'm gonna read one more, and then we're gonna get into the Palestinians thing. The curse of the mother, meaning that when she have a child from the male, and she raised that child away from the foundation of the male, she's causing a curse. And when she causes a curse, what happens? It roots up the what? Foundation in the house, in the family. It roots it up. It tears up the foundation. Because now she's operating in another whole faction that she was created to do, which was to help the male. She was not here to help herself. And this is the problem. She's here to be the helpmeet to the male. She'll root up everything because she's not understanding, or she's working totally against her own purpose. And that was to help establish the legacy of the male. Brother Marcus Wilson said Genesis 3:15 is that curse. That's right. And let's go to verse 11. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. Read that again. For the glory, meaning the covering. See, that's the legacy. The covering of a man is from the what? Foundation of his father. His father honors him. His father prays for him. His father establishes him. That's the only way a young man is going to be established, is through his father. He's not going to be established any other way. See, he's not going to be honored no other way, but it's going to come through the father. That's why, females, you have to be careful at who seed you bring forth. You cannot bring forth a seed and then you say, I hate that nigga, or I don't like that brother. Be quiet. It don't work like that. Because the moment you lay down, and all of us are adults, I hope we're all adults on this channel. And sisters, you lay down and you open your legs. That's a submissive move on your part. You are submitting to that male, meaning you are saying, I'm going to allow you to bring forth your legacy through me. And if you know that this man is a thug or whatever you want to call him, and he's not meeting the criteria of what is called being righteous, and you still allow him to bring forth his seed, that's on you. You are responsible for that. That's why in our house we have doors that have locks on it. And anybody who comes through that door without permission should get put down quickly, faithfully, strategically, and badly. Because if somebody comes through that door, that's almost a sign of being raped. Because you didn't invite them in. You didn't allow them in. So we'll deal with that. That's why I say you put them down. That's scripture. Deuteronomy 22. You put that brother down. You stone him. You kill him. But if you lay with that man faithfully, you submit it to him. And if you get pregnant, you told him you're going to bring forth his seed and legacy. And if you did not know anything about that man's legacy, that's on you. The other half of that verse says, and a mother is dishonor is a reproach to the children when she's out of order, if the children know the order. The children don't supposed to respect her. They don't disrespect her, but they don't supposed to respect her when she's out of order. But it's vice versa now. A lot of children respect the mother as if she has the legacy, but disrespects the father as if he's the one that is the helpmeet. This is what we do. This is how society have turned everything around. Because this is how we ride with an oppressive system that brings degradation to us. And here's my last scripture. I'm going to go to the 4th chapter, verse 11. Wisdom exalts her children and layeth hold of them that seek her. So we supposed to be our children supposed to have wisdom at a certain age. Not stupidity, not ignorance. They're supposed to, at a certain time in life, they're supposed to be presenting wisdom from themselves. But if you see your child, and a lot of times we'll say, well, they're young, they'll get it. It's not about being young. I know some young people that display wisdom. And that let me know that they've been in tune to their father. But when a child displays stupidity and ignorance, that child is not in tune to the father. So we thank the Creator for everything. We're going to get into it now. Just put out a little bit. Each time I come on, I'm have some scriptures dealing with legacy, because a lot of people don't know what legacy is, and I haven't yet displayed what legacy is yet, but I'm giving you the order of legacy. Legacy has to be an order. It's given by an order. It's not just something that, you just pass down, a house, a car, money. No, that's material stuff. People can run through that, but if they don't have wisdom, then how they gonna hold on to the legacy that you pass down? Legacy is much more than material wealth and material gains. That's not legacy. That's like an inheritance. Legacy is different. So next week in the Creator's Will, I'm gonna get a little bit more further into legacy, because our families are torn up, our families are destroyed, because we don't understand how the legacy thing work, and we don't understand where the legacy comes from. But tonight we established that legacy only comes through the male. It does not come through the female. There's no female that gives legacy. The female brings forth the legacy, the duplication of legacy for that male. And then she raises that duplication into the actual thing. So when the actual thing moves on, the duplication becomes the actual thing now. And it mimics what was there before. It don't go off into its own pattern or own lifestyle. It doesn't do that. It's not how that works. Okay? So let's get into it. I thank the Creator for each one of you for joining me. This is ITFDR Network on YouTube. On StreamYard, we are here. Make sure you press that like button and subscribe button. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please press the subscribe button. Make sure you also press the share button if you feel like someone that you know close to you needs to hear this lesson. Or also press the share button, allow YouTube to also push out the stream to let others know that we're here. But make sure you also press up that like button to also help pushes us through the algorithm. So my likes should match my views. The likes should match my views. If I got one person in the chat, I should have one like. If I got 10 people in the chat or 10 people that's watching it, I should have 10. If I have 15, it should such as my likes should match my views. So make sure we press that like button. Please press that like button, and we thank you. We thank you for joining us. So let's get further on into the lesson. Okay, even if you don't like it, just press thumb down, do something. Just don't be a zombie. Just don't be a zombie. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. All right. So we've been seeing this war going on in Gaza, what I call Gaza, what I call Palestine. And a lot of people who I talk to who don't know the Bible don't realize that that is not the actual promised land over there. A lot of people say, no, that's the promised land. That's the promised land over there. Well, okay. Then we'll tell them that those are not the actual Israelites, because they call themselves Israelis. You never heard them call themselves Israelites, because they can't, because they already know who the Israelites are. They call themselves the Israelis. Okay? The Israelis. And for them calling themselves the Israelis, they denote themselves saying that they are the people of God and they return back to that part of the land as a rite of passage. Okay? So what we do, instead of us searching out the Bible, the scriptures, the prophecies, the verses, we go according to the narrative, say, no, that's the promised land. That's the promised land over there. That's the promised land over there. Okay? But why Columbus never went over there? Columbus never went to that promised land. Columbus' book said he was looking for the promised land. Columbus may say he was going to reconquer Jerusalem. He never went there. And he was closer there than coming here. So why is it that Columbus never came here? Never went there to conquer. Why not? Why not? Why did not Columbus go to Jerusalem over there when he said he was going to reconquer Jerusalem. Why? But he came here. But then they'll say, oh, he got lost. He got lost. Did he get lost? He was a navigator. How can a navigator get lost on the ocean? That's his job. A navigator got lost on the ocean, but he went to go look for this land called India. But now, here's the thing, though. He went to go look for the land called India, but that land over there was never called India. It was called Hindustan. So what land was he looking for that was called India? That's the West Indies. Oh, just hold on. We got something for you tonight. And they say, well, Columbus' story is fake. Okay, if you call it fake, you call it real. You say Columbus wasn't real, he was fake. You say, oh, Columbus is a fictitious story. I don't care. Because you can't get past Genesis 9, 26 and 27. You can't, especially 27, you can't get past that. Japheth shall enlarge themselves in the tents of Shem. Well, then tell me where was Japheth? Japheth land ain't even no way over here in this continent of a hemisphere. Japheth land is way across the seas. His land is way over to the north. So who was the people that Genesis 28:49 was talking about that was coming from afar? Who was those people? You ain't got to believe that that was Columbus. Oh, well, Columbus was fake. So what? I don't care. Who was the people that came on Genesis 9:27? Who is Japheth? According to your views then. Who is those people that came from afar in Deuteronomy 28:49? Who was those people? Who was those people? If Columbus was fake, his name don't have to be Columbus. His name don't have to be Chakaman or whatever you want to call him. I don't care. There was people that did come here. Who was they? What was their name? Where did they boat sail from? Because Columbus or Japheth, let's just put it Japheth, never went to that Jerusalem over there. When they were sailing to conquer the New World, they called it. They didn't sail to that Jerusalem over there. But in his journals, he said he went to conquer Jerusalem. So family, who was these people? Why did he not sail to that Gaza over that Palestine over there? That y'all say that's the real Jerusalem. Why they never went there? Why in his journal, when he got here, he said, it looked like I found the land of Eden? Why did he say that in his journal? He didn't say that about over there. He said that about over here. But you know what though? We look at it and say, we look at it and say, well, the story's fake. Okay, Mr. Fake Story. I get it, Mr. Fake Story. The story's fake. I get it. So that means you calling the Bible fake. No, I ain't calling the Bible fake. Yeah, you are. Because if some people came here, according to the Bible, Genesis 9:27, they came here. Or because I didn't see Japheth go to that Jerusalem over there. I seen it, the Bible say he's going to come to the land of Shem. So what conqueror conquest that land over there back in the 1400s? What conqueror did that? What we call Jerusalem today. What conqueror did that? I need somebody to put it in the chat for me. What conqueror conquered that land over there? And they put it down in the record books saying we conquered Jerusalem over there next to Africa, next to that land we call Egypt. Can you give me that conqueror? It's a good story. It'd be a good one. Because they say that the Israelites fled from over there to West Africa. So what conqueror conquered the land over there? What conqueror did that? You gonna say Rome? Well, where was the Rome? Where was the Romans at during the time of 1948? Where was the Romans? Were they still there? Because the British was there then. What happened to the Romans? They died out. Because I still see the Pope roaming around with his military. So that means Rome's still alive. So what happened? What happened? Appreciate it, sister. What took place? I mean, we just running after the narrative of what people tell us. But we are not looking at the historical points that was written before our eyes. So we say, they say there's some Afro-Palestinians that's over there. And I listened to this brother gave me a video, and I listened to him, and the brother was like, well, they're mixed in with the Hebrews, because he didn't say Israelites, he said the Hebrews that was left there. And the first thing we think about is the word Hebrew. We say, well, they are Hebrews, and the Hebrews is the Israelites. Well, hold on, stop, slow that down. Put the brakes on. I need to see smoke. Let me see that smoke come up. If you are called a Hebrew, that don't make you an Israelite. Okay? Because when Abraham crossed over, he was called a Hebrew. Got a gnat right here. Abraham was called a Hebrew because he crossed over. What did he cross over from? He crossed over from his culture to the culture that he was supposed to be a part of, that the Creator had brought forth from him. That's what a Hebrew is. Crossing over. Cross out from one to another. That's a Hebrew. Okay? No other nation did that but Abraham. So that means everything from Abraham from that point forward was a Hebrew that came from Abraham. Okay? So Abraham's seed was a Hebrew. All of Abraham's seed, because what the father is, that's the legacy of the children. Rather, if the children continue to move into that pattern or not. Okay? So Abraham's seed was a Hebrew. Okay? That was only Abraham's seed. So is Moabites a Hebrew? No. Moab is not a Hebrew. How about the Ammonites? No, they're not a Hebrew. That's Lot's children. They're not Hebrews. Only Abraham's children. So Abraham's first son was who? Ishmael. Was he a Hebrew? Yes, because he come from Abraham. His father crossed over, so he took his son over that way too. He's a Hebrew. Isaac, is he a Hebrew? Yes. Yes. How about the 6 children from Keturah? They were Hebrews. Yes. Okay? They were Hebrews. Now pay attention. Hebrew just simply means to cross over. So when they were in Abraham's care, they were Hebrews. But the moment they leave from out of Abraham's care and begin to detour away from continuing to cross over, they're no longer Hebrews. I hope y'all understand that. They're no longer Hebrews because a Hebrew is an action word. That's a verb. That's something that you're doing. So when you hear people say these people are Hebrews, ask yourself, are they crossing over according to the law? Are they crossing over according to the law? We think Hebrew is just hereditary. That's a blood. No, 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 no. Being a Hebrew is that's not by blood. Because if that was by blood, then Abraham's father would have been a Hebrew. Abraham's brother would have been a Hebrew, who was Lot's father. Haran, he would have been a Hebrew. He was not. Abraham's father worshiped idols. Was he a Hebrew? See, we get so caught up by the word Hebrew. Oh, Hebrew, 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 Hebrew. Sound like your heartbeat. Hebrew, 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 Hebrew. That we can't function cognitive by thinking. Well, hold on. What the word Hebrew means? One who has crossed over. So when Abraham had Isaac, and the Creator told Abraham the promise is coming through Isaac, not Ishmael, but he said he's going to bless Ishmael. He said, I'm coming through Isaac. So now, from that point, the Bible says that the angel told Abraham, etc., that he's going to make Ishmael a great nation with princes, 12 princes. Okay? Does that make Ishmael a Hebrew? Because the Creator blessed him for him to be great? No. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac moved into the promise. He continued the pattern of his father by crossing over. That's a Hebrew. Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Which one of them continued to cross over? Esau or Jacob, or both? Only one continued. The other one, he fled away. Because Esau, they say he sold his birthright. Esau didn't. You can't sell your birthright. How can you sell your birthright? How can you do that? When it says he sold his birthright, he didn't have the respect for it. When I was telling you about legacy, it don't make a difference if you're hungry. You have to have respect for what was given to you by culture and by the Creator. Culture, the firstborn male always get the inheritance. Then it passes down. But the Creator said in the promise that the older will serve the younger. Okay? So either way, it was going to flip. Jacob ain't had to do nothing but sit and be patient. But Esau came from the field, was hungry. He said, I'll give you my birthright. Just give me some of that red pottage. He didn't show respect. Those of you who follow the New Testament, that's the same thing as the prodigal son. Give me all my inheritance so I could go do my own thing. That's no respect. You're not showing no respect for what your father had to go through to maintain that inheritance for you. But you just see gimme, 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 gimme. And that's the same thing what Esau did. Gimme, 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 gimme. And a lot of us, we didn't want to go. We tries to take the easy way out instead of trying to help the father establish, reestablish, and take and hold that foundation. So when it gets in my hand, I will learn how to expand it. Esau didn't do that. The moment he realized he thought he got robbed, he got mad. And the first thing he did, he rebelled against his parents. And he went and married women that was not of his people. So how can Esau be a Hebrew? Show me how he crossed over from that. See, it's one thing when you disrespect you, because your legacy is you. Your inheritance is you. But then you go outside and you lay seed in women. That is not of your people. Tell me, how is Esau a Hebrew? Tell me how is he a Hebrew? The servants that was in Abraham's house was more of a Hebrew than Esau, because they yield to Abraham to become circumcised. They follow under Abraham's authority. That's being a Hebrew, because they crossed over under the master of that house. You see? So when you hear people say, oh, these are Hebrews, that's a lie. Show me how these people are crossing over. Because we think that being a Hebrew is a birthright. No, it's not. Abraham was never a Hebrew from the beginning. Now, we ain't talking about no Hebrew language. We talking about Hebrew as a culture. Abraham was never that until he learned how to cross over. Who taught Abraham how to cross over? Shem and Noah. So when you hear these people talking about these certain people over here were Hebrews, how were they Hebrews? Show me what they're doing to cross over. So let's get into it. I want to get the first video. Give me a second, because give me a second. I want to. Okay, let me do it like this. I gotta wait to. I gotta wait till I have to wait till this thing crank back up. But I got to get the thing, this video, because this is right here. I want y'all to hear Captain Tazakiak, whatever his name is, in ISUPK, the One West group, when he was sitting before Tariq Nasheed. What the other brother name was? He be on the rap thing. I can't remember his name. Bald headed black guy. Y'all, when y'all see it, y'all know who he is. His name just ain't popping to me right now. He have the latest gossips for what's going on in the industry. He's Pyru. You know, he's a Pyru gang member. And also in this white dude. I don't know who the word that white dude is. I'm trying to pull it up now. This brother had told them that white folks are Hebrews, Chinese people are Hebrews, Arabs are Hebrews. And when I hear that, I just want y'all to hear what he had to say. See, they can only be Hebrew through you. These other nations, they cannot be Hebrews on their own. And this is a fact. We're going to get into that. They cannot be Hebrews on their own because we're going to talk about the Palestinians. This is going into the Palestinian thing. Okay, here we go. Let me pull it up now. Just give it to me. Fair use, fair use. Let me get it right here. Let me type it in. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Just give me 1 second. I about got it. Because I had another video lined up, but this right here just came back to my mind, so I want to go ahead and play this. I'm gonna show you some of you are Esau. Some of you are Esau. Jeez. Do it right here real quick. It's coming in. Just give me a minute. All right. All right. I know some of you ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna put it down on the table for you. Fair use, fair use. This is not my material that I'm showing. This is under the Copyright Act of 1976, 106 Copyright Act. So this is not my material. I don't claim any of this material, but this is for teaching purposes and educational purposes only. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. I want y'all to pay attention. This brother right here, Captain Tazariak, y'all can tell him, y'all can tell him, hey, this brother right here talking about you on the channel. It don't bother me. Somebody let him know. You like when I did them videos on Sakari, no? Let him know. I don't care. Because what I say, I trust me, I can back it up. All right, this right here, this is what we're gonna get into right here. This is I want y'all to pay attention to what the brothers say of who all the Hebrews are. All right, let's go.
Jewish people in East Africa.
Right.
Not too long ago, about a couple of decades ago, they did a DNA test on this tribe in Africa. Found out they were really Jews, and they never said anything else about it.
Right. Oh, hold on. Let me go back.
Let's go. I think he's gonna say something. Well, my question is just: we see you guys rocking the 6-pointed star and everything, and a layman's interpretation might be to think that you have issues with Jewish people. Or how do you feel about Jews in general and like the Jewish state of Israel? Jews in general, or the Jewish man, we look at him as.
Now he asked the question: how do you feel about the Jewish state and the Jew man in general? So now he's going to answer this question. So now y'all pay attention very closely to what this brother right here going to say. All right, because he telling him, he said, y'all rocking the 6-pointed star. Next week I may get into this star, but he say y'all rocking the 6-pointed star. But y'all, how do y'all feel about the Jew man? The Jew man. Okay. All right, so let's go. Let's hear what he have to say. Let's go.
Jews in general, or the Jewish man, we look at him as the imposter. He's not the original Jewish man. He's not the only way we can identify who the children of Israel are is to go to the book about the Israelites, which is the Bible.
Now, right there, he's correct. He said you have to go to the Bible to find out who's the real children of Israel are. That is true. Let's see if he sparked Genesis, the 10th chapter. That'll shut the whole thing down. Let's see if he do it. Let's go.
So if you go to the Bible, they don't match the people of the book. The Jewish state became a Jewish state in 1947 after World War II, and they just divided Palestine, which is why they're at war right now.
See, but now notice what he did. He's saying they do not match the people of the book. Well, explain why he's not explaining how they don't match. How they do not match the people of the book. He jumps from the Bible all the way to 1949. Let me rewind it again so you can hear it for yourself. Notice he don't give you any in-depths in the book. of why they're not the Jews. That's what the man asked them a specific question. Okay, let's go back and let's listen to this brother.
Match the people of the book. The Jew.
Let's go back and let's go back to his question and listen to this man's question. He asked him specific questions. Let's go.
Well, my question is just, we see you guys rocking the 6-pointed star and everything, and a layman's interpretation might be to think that you have issues with Jewish people. Or how do you feel about Jews in general and like the Jewish state of Israel?
Jews in general, or the Jewish man, we look at him as the imposter. He's not the original Jewish man. He's not the only way we can identify who the children of Israel are is to go to the book about the Israelites, which is the Bible. So if you go to the Bible, they don't match the people of the book. The Jewish state became a Jewish.
How you jump from the Bible to the Jewish state? Why don't you just tell the people, give this man the scriptures of why they don't match the people of the book? But now he jumps to the Jewish state. So let's keep going.
State in 1947 after World War II, when they just divided Palestine, which is why they're at war right now. They just divided Palestine and by force created an Israeli state. But that's not their land. I believe there was an Egyptian prime minister that said the Jews left black and came back white. Nobody.
That's the 70 AD story. They left black but came back white. But we're gonna knock that and show that that's a lie. Let's go. But it's not a lie, but I'm gonna show you it is a lie by what is really taking place. Let's go.
The people. Helen Thomas, one of the secretaries for the White House, when they asked her what did she think about the conflict, she says, well, they should go back home. And the reporters laughing is like, what do you mean by that? She said, well, they're from Germany, they're from Poland. They should go back home. They fired her later that day because she told the truth. So they're just not the children of the book. They're the imposters of the book. That's how we look at them.
So because they fired Helen Thomas, that's what makes them not the children of the book? Because they forced the Palestinians into certain sections of the land, that's what makes them not the people of the book? Where are the scriptures? Where are the scriptures at? This is what I'm talking about. But let's keep going. In the 13, they left out black but came back white. Where is that at in the book? That they left out of Jerusalem black but came back white. Okay, let's keep going.
Why is it that whenever black people claim their Jewish heritage, they say that is anti-Semitic? We always hear that trope.
Anti-Semitic is a weird term because biblically speaking, Shem, anybody that comes from the man named Shem, that's what Semitic is a English word, right? It's short for Shem. Shem is a man that had children and they eventually became different tribes. So the Arabs technically are Shemitic. We are Shemitic. Whites are Shemitic. Asians are Shemitic. They're all Shemitic people. The Jewish man, I think in the 1800s, coined the term Semitic to be specifically about them.
Now, did you catch what he said? Anybody that came from Shem is Shemitic. Anybody that came from Shem is Shemitic. Okay? So now, notice he did not capitulate the word Jewish. Tariq Nasheed asked him a specific question when we coined the word Jewish. Notice he didn't say anything about that because we are not Jewish. But let's keep going. Watch what he say. Watch what he say about the people in Africa. Let's go.
And it's really a trick bag.
Right.
It's a straight up and down. It doesn't matter what you say. If they deem it as derogatory, it's anti-Semitic, which basically means if you don't say everything out your mouth pro-Jewish, you're anti-Semitic. And the reason why they look at us that way is because they don't want to give what is rightfully ours. So they have to discredit us, because if we are Jews, let's say the Israelis are the Jewish people, and then we lay claim to that, we say we the lost tribes, they would have to by right give us the same things that they're giving their own Jewish people.
Right. Because historically, the person who spread a lot of the knowledge of Judaism into Europe was a black dude named Eldad the Danite.
Right.
Around the 8th or 9th century. He became a celebrity. He was saying that there was a tribe of Jewish people in East Africa.
Right.
Not too long ago, about a couple of decades ago, they did a DNA test on this tribe in Africa, found out they were really Jews, and they never said anything else about it.
Right.
So it's proven scientifically
that they are. But again, that means
you got a whole tribe in Africa that was all Jewish.
Yeah.
Right. Jews.
Right.
And they saying your kind of Jew.
Right. My kind of Jew.
Like Israelites.
Right. An Israelite. And so what that means.
You heard what he said. You heard. I can't remember this brother's name. He became specific at what he said. Now watch this now. Let me rewind it. I want you to hear what he say. He wanted him to be specific. So you saying Israelites. And he said, yeah, Israelites. Listen to what he say. Let's go.
Africa, found out they were really Jews, and they never said anything else about it.
Right.
So it's proven scientifically
that they are. But again, that means
you got a whole tribe in Africa that was all Jewish.
Yeah.
Jews.
Right.
And they
saying your kind of Jew.
Right, my kind of Jew.
Like Israelites.
Right, an Israelite. And so what that means.
So he's saying the Israelites is in Africa. This is what he's saying. The Israelites are in Africa. We're going to tackle that tonight. Brother Isaiah, I hope you're still listening. Let's go.
Means is land, inheritance. The same way, like Jewish people make sure that they stay within their own ecosystem as far as taking care of their own. But now if they recognize the black people that are laying claim to that, they would have to give them the same thing.
Right.
And they're not going to do that.
Right.
Because, of course, they're not the people, and they've just learned to monopolize that term. They've learned to take over and monopolize, and it's really through their military power. I mean, America funds the hell out of them. Even in this Israeli-Pakistani war, if you say, like, they just fired this black woman who was an attorney in New York because she chose to be pro-Palestine. Now, I'm not pro neither, and I pray no black person makes really an opinion. This is their war. This has nothing to do with us. I don't know if y'all heard what Amari Stoudemire said. Did you hear what
What he said?
Amari Stoudemire said.
Oh, I did hear what he said. Yeah,
when he said, fuck you, the black people that don't support the Israeli people.
Well, that's what you just asked. Yeah,
Yeah, Amari Stoudemire made a video where he said, if you black and don't support the Israelis, fuck you. That's exactly how he said it.
Right.
And what's weird about that
is he Israelite?
He's a Jewish type of Israelite.
He's a Jewish type of Israelite. See, he's still putting them in the bag as being an Israelite. Let's go.
Like over there, like he wear the black hat and, you know, dress and act just like them. The weird part about the Israeli-Palestine thing is that in war, there's innocence on both sides. When you blowing stuff up, you're not blowing up Hamas. You're blowing up the civilians that have nothing to do with the war. When you do anything to the Israelis, you're not blowing up the enemies.
That's like hitting my neighborhood,
right?
And thinking everybody power rose.
Exactly. And so the earth wants everybody to have all the things, which makes no sense to me because it's war. Nobody's innocent. You can't divide a land in half, displace the people that was in there, implant the Israeli people in there, and then expect them to lay down.
They brought a map. Remember, in the room.
Right.
And they were showing how much of this used to be Palestine,
right,
versus how much is just Israel. They've taken the land. And the Palestinians, they were reduced to this little dot over here, right?
Yeah.
So when I first was hearing everything, I really wasn't paying any attention. It sounded like the Palestinians was doing all the stuff to people from Israel.
Right.
Until I went on Clubhouse, and actually, I went to Blue Moon. And
but we're gonna stop this video right here. Let me go back and recap. Let's go back and listen to what the brother say.
I did Palestine, which is why they're at war right now. They just divided Palestine and by force created an Israeli state. But that's not their land. I believe there was an Egyptian prime minister that said the Jews left black and came back white. Nobody believes that they're the people. Helen Thomas, one of the secretaries for the white.
The Jews left black but came back white. Now, let me stop this video. And let's get into the next video. Who are black Palestinians? The Afro-Palestinians. They are called the Bradinos. Or the Bradunos. Bradinos. That's who they are. So who is these people? Who is these people? Did these people leave black and came back white? Fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act of Section 106. This is not my material. I'm just showing this material for educational and constructive criticism. Let's go. Who is these people? What's the history to the Palestinians? We're going to get into it. Who are these people? Let's go.
To most people I know, the words Afro and Palestinian would seem unrelated. This includes Palestinians themselves. Palestinians in the world live in diaspora, which simply means that they live away from home. With the recent events that happened in Palestine, I came across a post that mentioned Afro-Palestinians forwarded to me by the mysterious Middle East, which talked about their existence. I immediately remembered the stories my folks would tell me while growing up. I would ask my parents a gazillion questions about life back home and the people there. I remember on several occasions them mentioning that there was a community of Palestinians that were black. According to my parents, they were original Palestinians who looked exactly like Africans. I decided to dig deeper to find out who they really are, since Africa is a completely different continent.
Now, I want you to pay attention now. He said that they look just like Africans. So who is these people? They're trying to figure out who is these Palestinians that are Afro-Palestinians. Who are these people? So let's go, because we're going to get into who these Palestinians are tonight. And some people say, we got it. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's go.
So how did they arrive there? And what was their history?
We want to make sure we get this commercial up out of here. Let's go. Let's get back.
To my surprise, all the information I could find was based on stories older generations passed on verbally over the years, just like my parents passed on their experiences and stories they told me.
Okay, so there we go. This is one thing. They passed the history down verbally. Okay, so the history came in of who the Palestinians are verbally. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. They trying to figure out who these people are, where their history is at, blah, 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 blah. So he's saying that their history was passed down to them verbally. Okay, so let's go.
And that there were no records of this particular race of people coming to the lands of Palestine.
So he's saying that there's no records of these people coming to the land of Palestine. That's what he's saying. There is no records of these Afro-Palestinians coming to this land. Let's go.
Not officially, that is. Now, before I continue, you have to understand that even though this is stories they told me, and that there were no records of this particular race of people coming to the lands of Palestine. Not officially, that is. Now,
he said they don't have no records of these people coming into that land officially. So they don't know how they came into the land. I want you to keep that in mind. How did the Afro-Palestinians get into that land? They say there's no records of that. So is these people indigenous there? Let's go.
Before I continue, you have to understand that even though this is a thriving community in the heart of Palestine that is alive and kicking today, as a member of diaspora who lives outside of Palestine, it is not exactly easy for me to simply hop on a plane and fly there and speak to these people directly about their community and culture because, well, you know the situation. Nor is it easy to readily identify Afro-Palestinians outside of Palestine because they are indistinguishable from other blacks and Afro-Arabs. So for now, the easiest thing for me to do is look into what others have written about them.
So now the Palestinians, the Afro-Palestinians look like the Afro-Arabs. Let me say it again. So the Afro-Palestinians look, according to him, just like the Afro-Arabs. There are no distinction. If you don't, let me rewind and let's hear it again.
So for now, the easiest thing for me to do is look into what others have written. Nor is it easy to readily identify Afro-Palestinians outside of Palestine because they are indistinguishable from other blacks and Afro-Arabs. So for now, the easiest thing for me to do is look into what others have written about them.
So that's telling you that if they look just like the Afro-Arabs, that's telling you that their culture almost intertwined. Not just look physically dark-skinned, their culture intertwined. Because if a Palestinian were different from an Arab, you would see the cultures. He would have made a distinction between the cultures. But he did not do that. He did not make a distinction between the cultures. He said it was almost like undistinguishable. So let's go.
The good news was that there were several Palestinian historians, including Arif al-Arif, who tried to put the pieces of the puzzle together based on actual historical events, in addition to the oral stories told by various Afro-Palestinian families. These family origins can be traced to locations as far as Nigeria, Chad, Mali, and Senegal.
So you have a pale European putting together the oral stories of these Palestinians. Now, I want you to think about what they doing to them. You don't think they did that to you? They put your stories together by listening to your people tell the history and the so-called history of your people. But he's saying that the oral stories is that they came from out of Africa. Okay? They came from Africa. So if these people came from out of Africa, according to the oral stories, let's go.
And their roots connected to Arab African tribes of Houssa, Salamat, Burgu, Zaghawa, Borno, Gambo, and Balala. I hope
So he said their roots are connected to African tribes.
my pronunciation wasn't too off. I have this cool feeling now while writing this, where I'm imagining myself being Alex Haley, writing the book Roots, or the autobiography of Malcolm X. I think I'll have to put my ego on check first thing after uploading this video. Now back to the history part. We can summarize African immigration to Palestine into three major eras: the Umayyad Caliphate era, the Fatimid Caliphate era, and the last days of the Ottoman Empire during World War I. During the Umayyad Khilafah, for those of you who don't know, the Khilafah had control over lands from North Africa in the west to Central Asia in the east. This allowed a lot of trade and diplomatic relations to thrive. In addition, Muslim, Christian, and Jewish people from all around the region would visit the lands of Palestine for pilgrimage.
Now, I want you to look at that map real close and look at the red arrows. I want you to pay attention to that. Look at the arrow and look right there where Palestine at, because I'm gonna show you another video in the few. That word Palestine, look where it says Palestine at. And then you have right above it, Syria. Excuse me. Now I want y'all to pay attention to that word, Syria. They put Syria there for a reason. They put Syria there for a reason. Okay? That word is very important on this map, Syria. All right? Because Syria is not Assyria. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to that real close. The word Syria is not the word Assyria. Those are two different words, two different places. Let's go.
Were many of which decided to stay and live there due to the economical and political stability of the region at that time. I guess because it was a were many of which decided to live. In addition, Muslim, Christian, and Jewish people from all around the region would visit the lands of Palestine for pilgrimage, were many of which decided to stay and live there due to the.
So he said Muslims, Jewish, and Africans will visit this land. Doesn't that sound like the New Testament? People converting and becoming something. They will visit this land. All right, let's keep going. Because this is your New Testament story. This right here is your New Testament story. Let's go.
Economical and political stability of the region at that time.
Pay attention.
I guess because it was a multinational area, it was normal for people in the cities of Palestine to see other people from all around the world, and made them more tolerant to different races and faiths, as it was normal to see this, especially in a city like Jerusalem, whose Arabic name is Al-Quds, meaning the Holy Land.
Now they're saying that was back in the days that this land was called Jerusalem. We're gonna see some old maps, and you're gonna find out that that's a lie. Let's go.
The stories my parents told me make more sense now when I look at the map. They said that there was a large number of Afro-Palestinians who lived in cities called Ariha, otherwise known as Jericho in English, and Al-Ghor in today's Jordan, places located between Jerusalem and the Dead Sea of Jordan. This means that African settlers must have chosen these places to live in after visiting Al-Quds. That's my guess. The Fatimid Khilafah era was different. This Khilafah controlled the lands of Egypt and North Africa, and they were very well known for slave trade.
Now I want you to pay attention because see, now we're dealing with the slave trade, the Arab slave trade. Okay, let's go.
According to historians, the port of Gaza City was a hub for slave trade due to its location by the Mediterranean Sea and its close proximity to Cairo, the Khilafah.
And some of these Israelite camps say that these are their people. Let's go. They say that these are the Israelites that was over there, and they went into the Arab slave trade. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about, or they are actually Esau. Let's go. We're gonna figure this out in a minute. Let's go.
Its capital. It makes sense to say that it is here where the racist term used up to a couple of decades ago in Arabic, which is abid, meaning slaves, came from. This was a term used to describe blacks. I remember hearing previous Palestinian generations call black neighborhoods Hart al-Abid. I will do a separate video in the near future about racism and prejudice in the Middle East, as I believe it functions in a completely different way from the West. There is a significant amount of Afro-Palestinian Bedouin tribes who live today in the desert south of Gaza. Their origins are believed to be the leftovers of slavery back in the Fatimid era.
So now you're talking about the people that a lot of the Afro-Palestinians, he's saying that their origin are from the Arab slave trade. Their origin are from the Arab slave trade, the leftovers. Okay, so let's keep going because we're gonna figure out who these Afro-Palestinians are. Are they indigenous there, or were they taken there? Let's go.
The The most recent era that witnessed African visitors to Palestine was during the last days of the Ottoman Empire, during World War I, where Al-Arif spoke about in his book, The Detailed History of Jerusalem. He mentions that during this time, many Africans had visited Jerusalem for pilgrimage and were never able to go back home due to the new borders that Britain and France had established after winning the war against the Ottomans. Since they had nowhere else to go, they were forced to stay in Palestine and make it their new home.
So now, if you don't understand about that World War I, when Britain and France had started carving up Africa, remember now, the brother said from the first caliphate, they used to migrate the Jewish people, the Arabs people, and the Christian people migrated from out of Africa over to Palestine. Okay? And then they used to travel back. But when when the French and the Spanish came in and carved up the land, they were no longer able to go back home. Now they are stuck inside of a land that is not theirs. Let's go.
I think it's important to differentiate.
That is an Afro-Palestinian from Africa. Let's go.
Between the Afro-Palestinians and the Afro-Israelis, where the latter were over 14,000 African Jews from Ethiopia that were flown in the early 1990s by the Israeli Air Force to save them from captivity in Sudan.
And we're going to talk about this. This is an operation that the so-called Israelis had did for the Ethiopian Jews. Okay? They went in supposed to rescue them and brought them on in to Israel and wanted to and had them to convert to their ways. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to find out who these African Ethiopian Jews are. Let's go.
These Ethiopian Jews are today considered Israeli citizens, and there's a big conspiracy about them being treated as second-class citizens in Israel. And that's a whole different and complicated story altogether.
החוק שלכם, אתם המצאתם את החוק מאסר עולם, זה החוק של רצח. אז איך 3 שנים? בואו נשב, נגיד את כל הקורבנות של הנרצח, הם כולם ביחד.
And today, Hayy al-Afarqa is an enclave located at the northern gate of Jerusalem's holy place, Al-Haram al-Sharif, in the Muslim quarter of the city. It holds a minority of 350 to 450 African Palestinian families. They are proud Palestinians that belong to our society and to our culture. Palestine, specifically Jerusalem, has other ethnic minorities that originate from Central Asia, from countries like India and Afghanistan, Western Asia, like the Arabian Peninsula, and North Africa, specifically Morocco. The oldest civilization that can be traced in Palestine was found near Tabariya Lake in the Jordan Rift Valley. Historians say that it's around 1.5 million years old. In my opinion, since Palestine has a very long history of different civilizations and dynasties that ruled the land due to its religious and geographical significance, this is why we are a mixed race. You'll find Palestinian features that range from blue-eyed blondes to curly-haired blacks who share a common culture, language, and tradition. Like I said earlier in this video, I'm very proud to have dug deeper into my roots and to have learned about my own history and family. I hope you learned something as well. Maybe my kids will appreciate this history lesson one day too. And to those of you who stuck around.
Okay. So we're going to come on out of that. So now we got just a little clearer of who the Palestinians are. We got just a little clearer. and for us getting a little clearer of who the Palestinians are, some of them went there by migration and got trapped, and some of them was put there by the Arab slave trade. Okay, so now let's look at something. Let's look at something else. Let's grab something else. Let's look at is these people Hebrews? Because they say the Ethiopian Jews. We got so many Jews in Africa, and you heard what Captain Tazariak said. Those are our people too. So our people, so the Israelites just all over the place. Yeah, man, we were scattered all over. We were scattered in the four corners of the earth. So we just all over the place, according to these camps. We just all over the place. So so Isaiah 11:11 is where the Creator said He's going to gather His people back again. But that's all over the earth, ain't it? Okay. Let's look at the definition for the word Semitic. Let's look at the definition for the word Semitic. Let's look at the definition for Semitic. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, let me pull it up. Semitic. Semitic is relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian constituted the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. So now, they saying all these people right here are Semitic. These are Semitic people, supposedly. Okay? Because these people came from supposedly Shem. So the Hebrews, the Arabic, the Aramaic, Phoenicians, the Akkadians came from Shem. The Phoenicians didn't come from Shem. The Phoenicians came from Ham. Okay? So they say that these are the Semitic people. So now let's look at the Ethiopian. Let's look at the Sephardic Jews. Who are the Sephardic Jews? Who are the Sephardic Jews? Who are the Sephardic Jews? Sephardic Jews. Sephardic Jews, also known as the Sephardi Jews or Sephardim, and rarely as Iberian Peninsula Jews. Okay? Notice it says Iberian. Now, where's Iberia at? Where is the Iberian Peninsula? Let's look at where's Iberian Peninsula at. The Iberian Peninsula is known as Iberia. It is a peninsula in southwestern Europe, defining the westernmost edge of Eurasia. It is divided to be, let me finish pulling it up. It is divided between peninsular Spain and the continental Portugal, comprising most of the region as well as Andorra and Gibraltar and a small part of southern France, with an area of approximately, it gives you the square miles, square footage, or whatever. So now you're telling me that the Sephardic Jews is Israelites because they have the word Jew on the end of their name. So you're telling me that Jews came from Spain, France, and Portugal. Okay? Now, Iberian. Let's look at the word Iberian. Are these Jews? Is an Iberian a Jew? What is an Iberian? An Iberian is relating to the Spain and Portugal. So the Sephardic Jews are the Spanish and the Portuguese. And that is during the Jewish diaspora, population associated with the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal. The terms, what is the Jewish diaspora? The Jewish diaspora or the exile is the biblical dispersion. This is what it says, of the Israelites or Jews. Notice it says the Israelites or Jews out of their ancient ancestral land and their subsequent settlement in other parts of the globe. So if the Jewish diaspora happened in Spain and Portugal, how is that the Israelites' land? Tell me, how is that the Israelites' land? You see how they throw an Israelite in everything? They putting the word Israelite on everything. This is the Jewish diaspora or the exile, is the biblical dispersion of the Israelites or Jews. See? Out of their homeland, ancestral land, which is Spain and Portugal. Which is Spain and Portugal. When did the Israelites go to Spain and Portugal? When? And began to control Spain and Portugal. Because that's where a brother said that King James is an Israelite. Well, how is he an Israelite being in Spain or Portugal or being in Europe? How is he an Israelite?
See, the Jewish diaspora, population associated with the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal. The term, which is derived from the Hebrew Sepharad. Sepharad is the Hebrew language name for Spain. When did the Israelites ever go to Spain as a nation? But you listen to these camps, they tell you those are your people. Especially when referring to the Jews of a larger Iberian Peninsula that consists of both modern time Western Europe, Spain, and Portugal. Did not Spain and Portugal come over here to conquer? Did they not come here to conquer the Indians? So when did Israel go to Spain to rule? When did Israel set up a shop in Portugal to rule? When did that ever happen? Spain can also refer to the Jews of the what? Middle East. You see that? Spain can also refer to the Jews of the Middle East and North Africa. Why is Spain referring to the Jews of the Middle East and North Africa? Because that's where the Sephardics fled in 1492. That's where they fled. They exiled from out of Spain and Portugal and fled into what? The Middle East and fled into North Africa. See? Who were also heavily influenced by the Sephardic law and customs. What is the Sephardic law and customs? What is it? Because you got these camps telling you those are our people over in Europe. The Sephardic law and customs are the law and customs of Judaism. Judaism, which are practiced by Sephardim or Sephardic Jews, the descendants of the historical Jewish community of the Iberian, which is Portugal and Spain, peninsula. What is now Spain and Portugal? Many definitions of Sephardic also include Mizrahi, the Mizrahi Jews. See? It's the Mizrahi Jews. We're going to talk about them in a minute. See, the Mizrahi Jews and the Sephardic people are the same people. They fled into the Middle East and they fled also into North Africa. So when you hear these people on these camps, on these corners telling you those are your people, how did Israel come and conquer Israel? Show me that scripture. Show me that prophecy. When Israel was prophesied to conquer Israel. Because, see, most of you think that the white man, the so-called pale man, came here and conquered his land. That's a lie. The pale man came here as slaves. That's where you get the word Slav from. The Slavonic people, the Slovenian people, those are your slaves. Many Iberian Jewish exile families also later sought refuge in those Jewish communities, resulting in ethnic and cultural integration with those communities over the what? Over the span of many centuries. That's where the brother showed you in the video that in Palestine, that's how you get the pale, that's how you get the Afro. Because they integrated with the Africans and the Muslims and the Christians, they integrated together. But my question still stands. When did Israel ever control Spain and Portugal? If you can't show me that, King James is not no Israelite. He is a Sephardic Jew, which is a Jacobite. The Jewish community of the Iberian Peninsula purposed for centuries under the reign of what? I can't pronounce that word. Adulis, following whatever that is, you made conquest of Hispania. Let's look that up. Let's look up the reign. Let's look up this brother here. Let's look up this brother here. Where I'm at, right here. It says the Muslim conquest of Spain was an invasion of the Iberian Peninsula by the Umayyad Caliphate that occurred from approximately 711 to 720. The conquest resulted in the defeat of the what? The Visigoth kingdom and the establishment of the what? Of the whatever that, I can't pronounce these names. But in other words, the Muslims, that faction of Islam came in and began to take over. Because the Sephardic Jews were that Israelite? Were that Israel? When did Israel ever go to Spain and began to rule? And how did it get there? But their fortunes began to decline within the what? Christian Reconquista. And what that Reconquista is, it's the reconquest of the Al-Andalus was the series of military campaigns that Christian kingdoms waged against the Muslim kingdom following the Umayyad conquest of Hispania. See, how many of y'all knew Hispania was over there in Europe? How many of y'all knew that Hispania was over there in Europe? So this is where you get your Hispanics from, Europe. The beginning of the Reconquista is traditionally dated to the Battle of Covadonga. So the Christians and the Muslims are now fighting. This is what's going on. The Christians and the Muslims are now fighting for territorial dominance in Portugal and Spain. See, the Christians' Reconquista campaign to retake Spain. See, those two factions are going on at each other back during those days. In 1492, the Alhambra decree by the Catholic monarch of Spain. So now you got the Christians who's now controlling Spain. They took it from the Muslims. So those Iberian Jews are Muslims. That is not the nation of Israel. So the Catholic monarch, when they took back Spain, that's how you got Queen Isabella and King Fernando II of Aragon. They offered the Muslims a decree for them to become Catholic Christians. Because if you're a Christian, you pretty much a Catholic. And a lot of the Jewish Sephardic from Hispaniola, they did not agree to becoming Catholics. Let's go. monarch of Spain called the expulsion of Jews. In the 1496, King Manuel I of Portugal issued a similar edict, because the Christians took Spain and the Christians took Portugal from the Muslims. Similar edicts for the expulsion of both the Jews and Muslims. So who was the Jews? Was that Israel? Or are they playing with you on words? Who was the Jewish people? Was that the Israelites? Show me. I want anybody to show me. I want anybody to show me where Israel went to Spain and Portugal and conquered it. Show me the scripture where they got on boats and went to Spain and Portugal to conquer those lands to be able to place up King James. Because from Spain and Portugal, they are outcasting the Jews and the Muslims. These actions resulted in the what? Combination of internal and external migration. They are moving. Some of these people are moving inside of these countries to not be detected, and a lot of them are moving outside to go someplace else to live. Mass conversion, and executions. See, mass conversions and execution. These people were being killed, and a lot of these folks were converting. By the late 15th century, Sephardic Jews had been largely expelled from Spain. So, family, when they were expelled from Spain, where did they go at, family? Where did these Iberian Muslims go? Where did these Iberian Jews go, family? Where did they go? Because they was expelled from their homeland. When you hear these camps talk about over there is their homeland, family, they're talking about the Sephardic Jews. Because where did these people go in the 1400s when they were largely expelled from their land? They scatter across North Africa. That's your West Africa, family. They scatter into North Africa. They scatter all the way to North Africa. Is that the Ethiopian Jews, family? Is that your Ethiopian Jews, family? Is that your Bantu family? The Bantu Jews is these people that scattered out from Spain and Portugal and ran into North Africa? Is that who we talking about? Or are we talking about the Israelites? You can see from there the green on that map, that's where they ran to. Why don't these camps that be on the corner tell you about these so-called Judeans? See? They fled into North Africa. And when they fled into North Africa, family, let's see else where they went at. They went into Western Asia, meaning that's the Middle East. They fled from out of Spain and Portugal and started going down into the Middle East, family. They went into Western Asia. They went into southern and southeastern Europe. See? Either settling near Jewish communities or as the what? First in the what? Frontlers, such as long as the what? Silk Road. So these people began to migrate out, away from Portugal and away from Spain. This happened during the same time as Columbus sailed to America. So how is it that Columbus sailed to America with these people on the boat, known as Sephardic Jews? But somehow, those are the Israelites over there in Europe, but those Israelites that was in Europe sailed over here and conquered the land. When did that ever take place in prophecy? because that goes squarely against Genesis 9:27. They came here looking for gold. They came here looking for the promised land. So if they was looking for the promised land, and then y'all say that, oh, they found the 10 tribes according to 2nd Esdras. Why they never went over into that land to conquer that land over there and then say that was the promised land? Why they didn't never do that? Why they never did that, family? They was converted to Catholicism, meaning they called them conversos. 1 minute. Okay, yeah. Shalom, shalom, Sister Joanne. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I got it, Sister Latoya. I got it. Yeah, I saw it. They starting that foolishness again. So let's go to yeah, y'all hear me now? Y'all hear me now? Do y'all hear me now? Yeah, I'm back in. I hear myself. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to Hispania. Let's look at it in the Hebrew. Let's look at who these people are. Hispania. This is where you get the word Hispanic from. Hispanics are the Europeans or the European Jews. They're the Sephardic Jews. And they come from the land of Hispania. Okay? Hispania is where they come from. All right? Hispania is in island of the specifically, it may derive from the Punic cognate of Hebrew, Issapharim. That's the Hebrew term, Issapharim, meaning islands of the Hyrox, referring to the European rabbit, Phoenician, Punic, and Hebrews are both Canaanite languages and therefore closely related to each other. Phoenicians, Punic, and Hebrew are both Canaanite languages, and they're closely related. Is that true? But they're not telling you there are different dialects of Hebrew. One Hebrew is called Bara Hebrew. That's what some of some of the Aboriginals spoke. Some of them, they spoke a Bara Hebrew. Then you had some of the Aboriginals, they spoke the Egyptian Hebrew. And now you got these folks coming over here speaking a part of another dialect of a Hebrew. Because remember at the beginning, I told y'all, if you're not crossing over, you're not a Hebrew. But that doesn't mean you don't speak a dialect of that particular language. So these folks came over here speaking a specific dialect. They spoke a particular dialect of a Punic language from Europe. See, the origin of the word Hispania is very disputed. I'm pulling up Wikipedia. This ain't no source. I'm just showing you something. The evidence for the various speculations is based merely upon what are at best mere resemblance, likely to be what accidental and suspect supporting evidence. The most commonly held theory holds it to be of Punic origin. Now, what is Punic? What is a Punic? Let's look. Think just turned me down. Hold on, let me go back. Okay, the Punic. Let's look at Punic. The Punic language, also called the Phoenician or the Carthaginian, is an extinct variety of the Phoenician language, a Canaanite language of the Northwest Semitic branch of the Semitic languages, an offshoot of the Phoenician language of the coastal west of Asia. See, it was principally, hold on, let me go back. Okay, it was principally spoken on the Mediterranean coast and of northwest Africa, the Iberian Peninsula, and several Mediterranean islands, such as Malta, Sicily, and Sardinia, by the Punic people, or Western Phoenicians throughout the classical antiquity. See, so now let me ask you a question. Was the people in Spain and Portugal coming back and forth over here trading? So you mean to tell me if they were coming back and forth trading, they didn't know how to communicate with the people over here? They didn't know the people was over here? They didn't know that the people was here? They didn't know that? We're talking about the Phoenician language. What is the Phoenician language? The Phoenician Okay. Let me read it again. Starting at verse 26. Therefore, her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of her war shall be cut off in that day, says the Creator of hosts. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and shall consume the places of what? Ben-Hadad. Concerning Kedar, and concerning the kingdom of Hazar, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, shall smite. Thus says the Creator, arise ye, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east. Now, right there, you'll say, oh, well, see, that took place. No, it did not. No, it did not. It did not take place. They already had trade here. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 20th chapter, verse 30. Let me read it again because I saw it. And he shall join himself with him to make ships and to go to Tarshish. And they made the ships in Izon Gabor. And Elazar, the son of whatever, they made ships and they went trading. Esau made ships and he fled. He fled from over here. That's why you're going to hear his cry in the Red Sea. So now I'm showing you that they had trade here. They had trade here and they had trade over there. But the question is Esau, where did Esau go? Who is Esau? Let's look up something real quick. I want y'all to type in Esau Indians. Let's see where the Esau Indians went. Don't spell it the way they got it. I just put it right there in the chat. Don't spell it the way they got it. Esau Indians. ISSAU Indians. Hold on. Let me make sure I got the right spelling. The Esau Indians. Who are they? Hold on. Colorado Indians. No, no, not them. It's CAW. Hold on. Let me see. CAW. CADAWA. I think that's right. Yeah, Colorado Indians. Okay. It's CATAWBA. That is Esau Indians. That is the Esau Indians. Why am I in this? I need to come out of this. Esau Indians, the Catabawa people. Esau Indians. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Who are the Catabawa Indians? Okay, here we go. Who are the Catabawa Indians? Who are the Catabawa Indians? Let me set this right here back up. This is give me a little charge. Who are the Catabawa Indians? Now, if you look at this real close, it's spelled Esau Indians. It'll show you how they spell, how Esau Indians were literally spelled. I spelled it wrong in the chat. It's ISSA or ESSA or Iswa Indians. ISWA. So let me share this in the chat. Let me share this. You can see it. You can see it for yourself. Pull it up. This is Esau. This is Esau. They are the Catawba people. They fled from west east. They fled from the west coast to the east coast. See, this is the reason why a lot of these camps, they don't tell you, they tell you, oh, Esau the white man. See? We're going to get it. This is what they do. The Catawba people, you can look at it for yourself. Pull it up for yourself. It says the Catawba Indians. The Catawba, also known as Esau or Ithwa. See? The language changes. But we make it look like Esau, they tell you Esau is spelled E-S-A-U. But they're showing you who the Esau people are. See? Esau is Indians because Jacob is an Indian. Jacob is not a European. He's an Indian of America. Esau is an Indian of America. But he fled, some of Esau fled from America over into Europe. See, so the Catawba, also known as Esau, or the Itswa, but most commonly Itswa, Catawba, people of the river, are federally recognized as a federally recognized tribe of Native America, all known as the Catawba Indian Nation. See, this is why you can't get nothing moved, because you don't even know who sits among you. Some of you done married Esau, female or male. Just like some of you done married the Canaanites, female or male. Just like some of you done married the Egyptians, female or male. And you wonder why your community and your house is messed up. Because we don't think knowing and recognizing these people is important. We don't think this is important. See, their current land is in South Carolina on the Catawba River, near the what? Rock Hill. All you got to do is go up 77, you'll see Catawba, South Carolina. Just like if you go up 95, you'll see Yamasee or Yemisi, We call it Yamasee, South Carolina. That's the Yamasee Nation. See, we don't believe that these nations still exist today. We don't believe that. Seminole. What do the word Seminole mean? Seminole means semi. If you look at Seminole, it has the word semi in it. Seminole means a mixed nation. Doesn't mean that they were mixing and having sex and having babies. No, they came together to fight. That's what semi means. Seminole, semi-nation. Their territory once extended into what? North Carolina. Esau Nation extended when they fled from the west to the east. They were in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and extended up into North Carolina. As well as they still have what legal claim to some parcel of the land in the state. They were once considered one of the most powerful southeastern tribes in the what? Carolina Piedmont, as well as one of the what? Most powerful tribes of the South as a whole. Why was they powerful? What made these people powerful? Well, let's see what made them powerful. They was one of the most powerful tribes, with other similar tribes merging into the what? Catawba, as their post-contact numbers dwindle due to the effect of what? Colonization in the region. So these nations, the Esau or the Catawba people, began to allow people to merge in with them. Due to colonization. The Catawba were among the East Coast tribe who made selective alliance with some of the early European colonies. Hold on. So so the Catawba people were among the East Coast tribes who made selective alliances. Meaning these people sided with the colonizer. So hold on. So when the Europeans were fighting the Aboriginals on the land, Esau was one of the ones who was allied with the Europeans. Do that sound like Obadiah? Esau stood on the other side and watched the other nations come in and take you off your land. Do that sound like what they was doing? Obadiah 11, 10 and 11. He hated his brother. And he allowed the other nations to come in and take his brother off the land. Like he's still doing today by telling you that you're an African American, telling you that you're colored, you're black. Is that what's going on? Is Jesse Jackson the Esau? Al Sharpton is the Esau? Or Moab? Or the Canaanites? When these colonists agreed to help them in their ongoing conflict with the what? Other tribes. So they got help. They got help fighting the other tribes. Does that sound like scripture to you? In Obadiah? These were primarily the tribes of different what? Languages, families, and what? Different languages and families. The Iroquois, who are reigned south of the what? Great Lakes area and New York. The Algonquin, Shawnee, and the what? The Lenape, Delaware, and the Iroquois Cherokee, who fought for control over the large Ohio Valley, including what is in part today West Virginia. During the American Revolution War, the Catawba supported the American colonists against the British, documented by what? Colonial smallpox epidemic. So who was fighting? Who was the ones that were fighting? Esau was one who sided with the colonists. The Catawba supported the American colonists against the British, decimated by the colonial smallpox epidemic, warfare, and culture disruption. The Catawba declined. The Catawba declined markedly in numbers in the late 18th and 19th century. Some Catawba continued to live in their homeland in South Carolina. They say their homeland, but they don't tell you that they migrated from the West Coast to the East Coast. That's not their homeland up there in Rock Hill. Their homeland is over further south. Further west. While others joined the Choctaw and Cherokee, at least temporarily. See, they don't tell you about the Catawba Esau Indians. Why you didn't know about them? Tell me why you didn't know about the Catawba Esau Indians. Some of Esau people stayed back. They stayed on the back end. And then someone fled over to Europe. Okay? They fled over into Europe. That's what some of them did. They fled over into Europe. And a lot of us, we don't want to agree to that they fled. Now let's get into something real quick. Let me get into something real quick. Hold on, just give me a second. Let me pull this back up. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second. No, I want that. I don't want that. I want the history. Let me come from out of this. All right, here we go. We have to pay attention to what's really being said. Okay, here we go. Let me get into it right here. Esau, he fled from the Americas. He fled from the Americas into the Middle East. So let's let me get into this video right here. All right, let me get this right here. Let me go. I thought I was in YouTube. All right. Here we go. Let me go this way right here. All right, we're going to the fair use. This is under the it's under the 106 1976 Act. This is Brother Moray.
You know, he changed his name, but the brother had brought out some very good info. So in his video, so let me share this video with you. And pay attention to what this brother said. He's about to break down Esau to you. Because like I told you, Esau migrated from West America, from by California, to East Coast, South Carolina, and then others, like I just showed you in the scripture, fled over into the Middle East. Some of those Palestinians that you say that's dark skinned are Esau. Let's get it. Fair use, fair use. This is not my material. I don't claim no rights to this material. This is for teaching purposes, and teaching purposes only. Let's go. Pay attention now. Check it out. Check it out. Now look at the lane. Look at the land. Look at where the Palestinians are at right now.
It's 2 months since Hamas launched terror attacks on Israel. More than 1,200 people were killed during those attacks, and around 240 people.
All this is prophecy.
Barrage of rockets fired out of Gaza into Israel started almost exactly 2 hours ago.
Just after dawn on Saturday the 7th of October, thousands of Hamas fighters broke through the border fence and made their way to the kibbutzim and towns on the Israeli side of the Gaza Strip. For hours they went through the villages, murdering people, torching houses, and taking hostages. It's estimated that more than 1 million people in Gaza are now displaced and living in temporary accommodation. Israeli airstrikes over Gaza continued relentlessly. 25,000 tons of explosives were dropped in the first weeks of the war, making it the largest bombing campaign since the Second World War. At the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt, thousands gathered to try and leave.
The situation is threatening my life if everybody lives.
But Israeli airstrikes forced Egypt to close the border, meaning that nobody could get out and humanitarian aid couldn't get in.
As we know, the past few months have been very hectic in the Middle East between the Palestinians and Israelis. But in this video, I'm going to use history, DNA evidence, and scripture to show you guys who the Palestinians truly are and why they are suffering according to prophecy. In addition to that, I will discuss who the Israelis are according to history, scripture, and genetics. We must first understand that the biblical land of Israel is not in the Levant or anywhere in the Middle East for that matter. The Levant simply does not match the botany, geology, geography, zoology, or meteorology described in the Hebraic text. I explained this thoroughly in many of my other videos. The true land of origin of the children of Yasra'al is west
Okay. All right. It doesn't make any sense. Y'all hear me now? Do y'all hear me now? Okay. No, I hate myself. Y'all don't hear me? I hear myself. Y'all don't hear me? Okay, all right. Thank you, Brother Trey. But that land over there doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense saying that that's the promised land. It don't. But you got people, you have people say that that is the promised land. You have people say that that's the promised land. But let's keep going.
Western North America. Now, if the Israelites never lived in the Middle East, zoology or meteorology described in the Hebraic text, I explained this thoroughly in many of my other videos. The true land of origin of the children of Yasra'al is Western North America. Now, if the Israelites never lived in the Middle East, then who were the people who fled Judea in 70 AD? The Jews who dwelt in the Levant between 350 BC and 70 AD are not the same people that dwelt there for thousands of years, but were in fact newcomers to the land.
So now, right there, I want y'all to pay attention to what he said. The people who fled that land is not the same people who's in that land today. That's why one thing I like with Brother Marcus, when me and him talk, he always say the inhabitants of Tyre. So that's not, so the inhabitants are not the same people that were supposed to be there. Okay, so now you have what is called people that is in that land that does not belong there. And we ain't talking about we ain't talking about those fake Jews. We talking about the Palestinians too as well. They do not belong there. But let's keep going. Let's keep the video running.
There are several pieces of evidence that I can use to prove this point. First piece of evidence is that there was a vast amount of religious changes to the culture of the people in the 3rd and 2nd century BCE in that area. Israel never gained any prominence until the 3rd century BCE. The earliest manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible date back to more or less just a few years after Alexander the Great landed in Alexandria, Egypt, with a few Israelite captives taken from their true homeland, as well as the Hebrew scrolls that he most likely got from the Holy Temple in the true Holy Land. The Israelite captives were probably only taken to teach the Hebrew language to the Greeks and translate the scrolls. These scrolls.
So let's look at that. Let's go back, and I want you to hear when he say about about a few of the Israelites being displaced in Greece. Let's go.
Alexander the Great landed in Alexandria, Egypt, with a few Israelite captives taken from their true homeland, as well as the Hebrew scrolls that he most likely got from the Holy Temple in the true Holy Land.
So in other words, they got your writings when they conquered your land. The Greeks. They got your writings when they conquered your land. So when we say, well, a lot of the stories are wrong. Well, we understand that because your Bible been infiltrated. It's the same thing if you go back to the story when Rehoboam and Jehoram, when the kingdom was split into 2 nations, and it was the 10 tribes or the 9 tribes went with Jehoram, what we call 10 tribes. Okay, they went with Jehoram, and when they went with Jehoram, what makes you think that they writings that they had orally and they had written down was not given to a foreign nation when Assyria came in and conquered them. What makes you think the Assyrians didn't have their culture when they conquered them from Assyria? I mean, from Samaria. What makes you think they didn't take their culture, they writings and tradition from them? What makes you think they didn't do that? Because remember, they could, and they replaced it, the people, they replaced it, the 10 tribes, with other nations on their land, and the nations could not live on their land. So what you think took place? They went and got a priest, and the priest taught them how to live on the land. What you think he did? He taught them how to farm? Because the animals was attacking them. What made the animals stop attacking the people? What did the priest tell them? What did the priest teach them? To make the land accept them, to make the animals back off them. Because obviously those people did not have the same vibration to be on the land like the Israelites. Did they get your writings? Did he teach them? Did he teach the people on the land your culture? Did he teach them your language? Did he teach them the vibrations of you? What did he teach them with? So now the Greeks got your writings. Maccabees 3:48. They laid open the book of the law and began to what? Infiltrate themselves in it. They put the likeness of themselves. What is the likeness? We're talking about pictures. It ain't just the likeness of you. They wrote their history in it too. They infiltrated your Bible. They infiltrated your writings. They infiltrated your stories, and they put their stories to connect to your stories in a book called the Bible. And they handed it back to you. Let's keep going.
Like captives were probably only taken to teach the Hebrew language in the 3rd and 2nd century BCE in that area. Israel never gained any prominence until the 3rd century BCE. The earliest manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible date back to more or less.
So let's look at approximately 2,000 years old. They are approximately 2,000 years old, dating from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. Most of the scrolls were written in Hebrew, with a smaller number of Aramaic and Greek. Most of them were written on parchment, with the exception of a few written on papyrus. So we did have books back then. We did have writings. And that's how they got it. Let's go.
Just a few years after Alexander the Great landed in Alexandria, Egypt, with a few Israelite captives taken from their true homeland, as well as the Hebrew scrolls that he most likely got from the Holy.
So let's read this. The history of the Alexandria Jews dated back. The history of the Alexandrian Jews. They go another Jew. Dated from the foundation of the city by Alexander the Great, 333 BC, at which they were present. They were numerous in the very outset, forming a notable portion of the city's population under Alexandria's Caesars. The Ptolemies assigned them a separate section, 2 of the 5 districts of the cities, to enable them to keep their laws pure of indigenous. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to that. Let's keep going.
Temple in the true Holy Land. The Israelite captives were probably only taken to teach the Hebrew language to the Greeks and translate the scrolls.
Let's read this right here. So the Greeks took your writings and they translated it on the scrolls. It says the Old Testament comes down to us mainly from the Greeks' translation, made in the Alexandria Library. The Ptolemies devoted much of their enormous wealth to the acquisitions of every Greek book as well as work from what? Africa, Persia, India, Israel, and other parts of the world. So they took and comprised and compiled everything into one. That's why when you read the Bible, what do you see? You see some of the Egyptian writings in it. You see some of the Kemet. You see some of Babylonian writings. So the thing is, you'll think this is your story, and it's really not your story. They comprise everything in one. Let's keep going.
These scrolls would later go into Alexander's library and become copied numerous times and gain lots of popularity amongst the people in the area.
So when he comprised all these things together, they began to copy it because it went into Alexandria library. And then after when it went into his library, people came in and copied it. That's how you think you got different Bibles. See, they had to get the actual writings from your people. And they comprise different cultures in one book. Let's keep going.
Most of the Dead Sea Scrolls date back to 200 BC at the earliest, and the oldest complete Old Testament manuscript, the Septuagint, was created around 200 BCE as well. The Hasmonean Maccabean dynasty, which was one of the most powerful dynasties in Jewish history.
So where was the Maccabees? Where you find the story of the Maccabees at? You can't find it in Torah. You can't find it in the Old Testament. You can't find it in the New Testament. You have to find it in the Apocrypha. So anytime when you hear people talking about the Apocrypha is a lie, you need to just put a pie and throw it in their face. Because the Maccabees were a powerful Seleucid dynasty. They were powerful. Let's go.
Started in 166 BCE. That's way after the scrolls made it to the Library of Alexandria. The Greeks settled in the Levant as early as 1000 BCE, yet they never make mention of the Jews or Israelites until around 320 BCE.
So I want y'all to pay attention to when he say about the Levant.
That's way after the scrolls made it to the Library of Alexandria. The Greeks settled in the Levant as early as 1000 BCE.
It says the early Greeks contact with the southern Levant. What is the Levant? That's the area that y'all call Israel. The Greeks were there. The Eastern perspective, they were there first. They were there. They contacted that way before you got what you got in there today. The Greeks were there. So let's keep going.
Yet they never make mention of the Jews or Israelites until around 320 BCE.
So if the Greeks were there and they never made mention of the Israelites until later times, where were the Israelites? Where were the Israelites if they never made mention of the Israelites until later on in the Levant? Let's keep going.
When Theophrastus said, the Syrians, of whom the Jews constitute a part, also now sacrifice live victims according to their old mode of sacrifice. If one ordered us to sacrifice in the same way, we would have recoiled from the entire business, for they are not feasted on the sacrifices, but burning them whole at night and pouring on them honey and wine. They quickly destroy the offering in order that the all-seeing sun would not look upon the terrible thing. And they do it fasting on intervening days. During this whole time, being philosophers by race, they converse with each other about the deity. And at nighttime, they make observations of the stars, gazing at them and calling on God by prayer. They were the first to institute sacrifices, both of other living beings and of themselves. Yet they did it.
So the Greeks were the first to institute sacrifices. Let's keep going.
And not from eagerness for it.
So when it says the Greeks were the first to institute sacrificing, they're not talking, they were talking about human sacrificing and all the other things. The Greeks were doing this. All right, let's keep
Besides
going.
the strange description of the sacrifices that don't match Torah, note how the Greeks call the peoples of the Levant the Syrians. Remember this.
So remember, I told you about the Syrians. Find out. He about to tell you. He about to break down because we're not gonna watch the whole video. We're gonna pick some of this video back up on next week. But notice what he said about the Syrians, and I told y'all about the Syrians. You need to pay attention because the word Syria was over the word Palestine in that other map that I showed y'all. So he's getting ready to show you something in a second. Let's go.
At nighttime, they make observations of the stars, gazing at them and calling on God by prayer. They were the first to institute sacrifices, both of other living beings and of themselves. Yet they did it by compulsion and not from eagerness for it. Besides the strange description of the sacrifices that don't match Torah, note how the Greeks call the peoples of the Levant the Syrians. Remember this for later. It shouldn't come as a surprise, however, that most of the artifacts found in modern-day Israel are either Greek, Roman, or Egyptian in origin, and very few artifacts that were found in Levant are Hebraic. Also, the Romans never collectively referred to the area as Judea until it became a part of Rome in 6 AD. The first Roman to ever make mention of Jerusalem was Josephus, who was the first Roman who converted to Judaism.
So the first Roman who made mention of that land being called Judea is Josephus. That's your scholar. That's your New Testament scholar, Josephus. He was the first one to call that land over there Judea. Let's go.
Sometime in the 1st century AD, he said this: Jews are derived from the Indian philosophers. They are named by the Indians Kalami and by the Syrians Judai, and they took their name from the country they inhabit, which is called Judea. But
so hold on. Look at what he's saying. Jews are derived from the Indian philosophers. And I just showed y'all that, that there were some people that were Indians, Esau. They were named by the Indians Kalami and by the Syrians Judea. And they took their name from the country they inhabit. Meaning they were not from the place that they took their name from, which is called Judea. But for the name of the what? Their city, it is very awkward. One, for they call it Jerusalem. So somebody's inhabiting that land over there, and they took it and made it their land and call it by the name Jerusalem. Let's go. Let's see what he said.
For the name of their city, it is a very awkward one. They call it Jerusalem.
This is what Josephus said.
Now here Josephus clearly says that the Jews of his time immigrated from somewhere else, specifically India. Now we can't just look over this or sweep it under the rug. Josephus clearly states that the Jews of his time period who lived in the Levant descended from Indian philosophers. Not only did he say that they descended from Indian philosophers, he even told us what the Indians called the people who would later become Jews. Josephus tells us that those Jews came from somewhere else and were not indigenous to that land.
So where did these Jews come from? Where did these Jews come from? And who are these Jews? We got another minute. We're gonna close out and we're gonna pick this video back up on next week, and then we're gonna jump into the language as well. Let's go.
He tells us that they came from India, and the Greek word that he used here was Indus, which is
so he said it came from Indus, India. But that name over there, India, the country India, was called Hindustan. So he wasn't talking about Hindustan. So what was he talking about? Let's go.
It's named after the Indus River that flows through India today. This denotes a westward migration of the people through Asia and later settling in the Levant and naming themselves Jews. Besides,
so now that's very important. They migrated from the Indus River from the west in Europe and migrated over into the Levant. Okay, let me rewind it. Let him say what he's gonna say. Let's go.
Tells us that they came from India, and the Greek word that he used here was Indus, which is named after the Indus River that flows through India today. This denotes a westward migration of the people through Asia and later settling in the Levant and naming themselves Jews. Besides Josephus, the Romans never mentioned Jerusalem by name until Christianity spread in the empire. Before then, the Romans called the city now known as Jerusalem Aelia Capitolina. The very
so now hold on. Look what the name that Rome, that Jerusalem was named. Look at the name. I want y'all to look at that, and I want y'all to pull that up. Aelia Capitolina. Let's look at it. Let's go
in the empire. Before then, the Romans called the city now known as Jerusalem Aelia.
So they go the name right there. I just paused it. Aelia Capitolina. That's what the name. That's what Rome called it. Aelia Capitolina. That was never called Jerusalem over there. So why did the Romans have a name for it but didn't call it its proper name if they were controlling Jerusalem? Let's go.
Capitolina. The very first time Jerusalem was used in the Greek language was when it was translated into Greek for the making of the Septuagint sometime between 285 and 246 BC.
So Jerusalem was translated, Aelia Capitolina was translated to Jerusalem in the Septuagint. So when you see in the Septuagint the word Jerusalem, that's not the original name. It was translated to that name. Let's hear him again.
In the empire. Before then, the Romans called the city now known as Jerusalem Aelia Capitolina. The very first time Jerusalem was used in the Greek language was when it was translated into Greek for the making of the Septuagint sometime between 285 and 246 BCE. The name Jerusalem doesn't appear on a single map until the 6th century AD during the creation of the Madaba map.
If Jerusalem was not on the old maps, then tell me, where did Jerusalem come from? It's not even on the old maps. He's telling you that. So where did the name Jerusalem come from over there? How could that be Jerusalem over there if it was not on old maps? Let's see him again.
BCE. The name Jerusalem doesn't appear on a single map until the 6th century AD during the creation of the Madaba map. Every single map ever made before these times either left the Levant blank or called it Syria. This brings me to my next point. The Greco-Roman people normally refer to the Assyrian Empire as Syria or Syria, but for some strange reason, the Levant got labeled as Syria in the 3rd century BCE, and no one knows why. But
so he's saying the Levant was named Syria, not Assyria, but Syria. Why is it was named? Because you can even look in the Torah and see that it used the word Syria. Syria. And you were mistaking that as to being Assyria. It's not Assyria. So let's listen to what he say his theory is. Let's go.
But I have a theory on this. Maybe because the inhabitants of the Levant at the time called themselves the Syrians. Not because they are the Assyrians, but because they are from the land of Seir and are Edomites.
So what if that land, they call that land Syria because the name Sair. Let's go to Malachi, the 4th chapter. Malachi, the 4th chapter. Let's pull that real quick. Sair. What if they use the word Syria to hide the name Sair? And let's see. I'm trying to pull it. Hold on, let me pull that scripture up because I know it's in Malachi. Really? Okay, let's go to Genesis 36 and 8. Let's go to Genesis 36 and 8. We'll close out in a minute. Genesis 36 and 8. And it says, thus dwell Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. See, Esau is Edom. Okay? Let me grab one more. I want the one in Malachi. Excuse me. Let me go to Joshua 24 and 4, and we're gonna get back into the video. And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau, and gave unto Esau Mount Seir. See? And what if Mount Seir is Syria? They disguise Mount Seir as Syria. Not Assyria, but Seir, or what they call Syria, but they spell it different, like they spell Esau different. Seir. See, so they have a way of decoding words, but you'll never know that word Seir or Syria could be Seir, which indicate and denote Esau, the Palestinians. But let me keep going.
Most of the people of the Levant were Edomites, many of which converted to Judaism and claimed to be Jews. The Assyrian Empire, Assyria or Syria. But for some strange reason, the Levant got labeled as Syria in the 3rd century BCE, and no one knows why. But I have a theory on this. Maybe because the inhabitants of the Levant at the time called themselves the Syrians. Not because they are the Assyrians, but because they are from the land of Seir and are Edomites. Most of the people of the Levant were Edomites, many of which converted to Judaism and claimed to be Jews by descent, following the growing popularity of the Hebrew text.
So Esau became Jews by the Hebrew text. Let me say it again. Esau became Jews by the Hebrew text. So some of these people that you calling Israelites are Esau. We got 1
They
minute left.
named
Let's
some
go.
of their cities after biblical cities like Hebron and Jerusalem, and even built a temple to model after the biblical Israelites. The cities that they gave biblical names to did not even match the geography given in the scriptures.
So he said the name that they gave, look at what he says. This is Joshua, the 4th chapter, verse 19. And the people came up out of Jordan, 10th day of the first month, and encamped Gilgal in the east border of Jericho. The Jericho problem, Gilgal is supposed to be east of Jericho, not north. Look at the map. Look at the map. Look at the map. Gilgal is below Jericho. Let's go.
The most prominent among the wannabe Jews were the Maccabees, who were also Edomites that pretended to be priests.
So now he said the Maccabees are the Edomites. So when you're reading the Maccabee story, you're reading about the Edomites.
Others who were reluctant to take on this false identity simply referred to themselves as Idumean, like the Herodian dynasty, for example. They sided with Rome and did not want to associate themselves with the rebels or the Jewish Edomites.
So let's hear that again. Let's hear that again, and we're gonna close out from this point. Let's hear that one more time.
Others who were reluctant to take on this false identity simply referred to themselves as Idumean, like the Herodian dynasty, for example. They sided with Rome and Jewish Edomites.
So the Herodian dynasty, who were Edomites, separated themselves from the rebels. That's the Sakari group. That's all those people were Jews of Esau, or just the regular Esau people. They were Esau. Look at their coins. Look at their coins. You have to pay attention to what these people have been putting in front of you. Israelites are not all Israelites. We're going to pick it back up on next week in the Creator's will. And then we're going to get into the languages. Y'all go finish watching this brother video and subscribe to his channel because he be dropping some dope information. But the Palestinians are the Esau. That's Esau. That's Esau. Esau migrated to the Levant area. But we thank the Creator for you joining me. ITFTR Network YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Make sure you press the thumbs up if you haven't. And share this video if you know those who needs to hear this lesson. Let YouTube know and the algorithm know that we're here. You know, next week we're going to pick up where we left off. Palestinians are Esau. That's why they ain't gonna tell you. That's why they're not telling you where these people came from. They go by the oral history and say, oh, we don't know where they come from. Yeah, the Bible do. The Bible knows exactly where they come from. They came from America. Some of them fled over into what? South Carolina, the Catawba people, which is the Esau nation, and the other ones fled over into the Red Sea. They fled over there. That's why they know who they are. They know who their people are. Confusion of faces comes when it comes to Israel. So I thank y'all for joining me. This is real. Esau is your Palestinians. We're gonna get into the Khazarian Jews. We ain't finished. So may your Shabbat continue to be peaceful, restful, and relaxful. And may the Creator continue to keep you, walk with you, guide you, and through obedience elevate you. So until next Shabbat, I like to say shalom, shalom. Happy Shabbat to each one of you. Thank you for joining me. Peace.